On a rainy London street in 1978, an 8-year-old girl with striking cheekbones and fierce eyes was scouted outside a ballet class, not because she fit the mold, but because she shattered it. At a time when black models were rarely seen in high fashion, her presence was revolutionary. That girl was Naomi Campbell, and though she faced rejection, racism, and relentless scrutiny from the start, she would rise to become one of the original supermodels, the first black woman to grace the cover of French Vogue, and a tireless advocate for diversity in an industry long resistant to change. Her journey wasn't just about beauty, it was about breaking barriers with every step down the runway. Born on May 22, 1970, in Streatham, South London, Naomi grew up in a single-parent household. Her mother, Valerie Morris, was a Jamaican-born dancer who performed with the National Ballet of Jamaica before moving to England. From an early age, Naomi was immersed in discipline, rhythm, and performance. She trained in ballet at the Barbara Speake Stage School and dreamed of becoming a dancer. But fate intervened when a modeling agent spotted her and signed her to a local agency. At 15, she appeared on the cover of Elle UK, a rare achievement for a black teenager in 1980s Britain. Her big break came in 1986 when she walked for designer Yves Saint Laurent in Paris, one of the first black models to do so for a major French house. Critics called her walk hypnotic, a blend of athletic power and feline grace that defied the era's preference for waifish passivity. By 1988, she was on the cover of British Vogue, again as the first black woman in decades. Alongside Linda Evangelista, Christy Turlington, Cindy Crawford, and Tatiana Patitz, she became part of the legendary Big Five, the original supermodels who turned fashion into global spectacle, commanding million-dollar contracts and rock star fame. Yet behind the glamour lay struggle. Despite her success, Campbell was routinely excluded from major campaigns and covers reserved for white models. She was told her skin was too dark, her features too strong. Rather than accept the status quo, she used her platform to demand change. In 1989, she famously refused to walk for a show unless another black model was hired, a bold act of solidarity that set a precedent. She pushed designers like Azzedine Olo and Gianni Versace, who embraced her fully, while calling out those who tokenized diversity. Her influence extended beyond the catwalk. In 1994, she launched Fashion for Relief, a non-profit that raised millions for causes including Hurricane Katrina victims, the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, Ebola relief, and refugee support. She didn't just host galas, she traveled to disaster zones, met survivors, and ensured funds reached grassroots organizations. Her activism wasn't performative, it was personal. She also broke ground on screen. She starred in The Face, a reality TV competition that mentored young models, emphasizing professionalism over drama. She appeared in films like Zoolander and Beverly Hills Cop 2, proving models could cross into acting with credibility. And in 2019, she made history again, as the first black female model to open a Prada show, at age 49, challenging ageism in an industry obsessed with youth. Her personal life, often sensationalized by tabloids, reflected both vulnerability and resilience. She battled addiction, faced legal issues, and endured public meltdowns, but never hid from accountability. In later years, she spoke openly about therapy, self-growth, and the pressures of being a black woman under constant surveillance. She rebuilt her image not through silence, but through honesty. Artistically, she remained relevant across decades. In the 2010s and 2020s, she walked for Marc Jacobs, Balmain, and Versace, often closing shows to standing ovations. Designers praised her timeless presence, a mix of regality, strength, and emotional depth. She collaborated with brands like Calvin Klein and Louis Vuitton not as a face, but as a creative partner, advising on inclusivity and representation. Her advocacy reached new heights in 2020 during the global reckoning on race. She co-founded the Black in Fashion Council, an initiative pushing luxury brands to adopt measurable diversity standards in hiring, leadership, and casting. She demanded transparency, not just statements. When brands pledged support, she held them accountable, publishing progress reports and naming those who fell short. She also championed emerging Black talent. She mentored models like Adat Akek and Anok Yai, secured them major campaigns, and insisted they be paid equally. She used her Instagram, with millions of followers, not for selfies, but to spotlight designers of color, historians, and activists. Her feed became a classroom on Black excellence in fashion. Off-duty, she lives between London, New York, and Milan, collects African art, practices yoga, and remains close to her mother, who still advises her daily. She never married, but speaks passionately about legacy, not children, but impact. She funds scholarships for young models from underrepresented backgrounds and supports mental health initiatives in the industry. Now in her 50s, Naomi Campbell stands not as a relic of the 90s, but as a living force. She walks runways with the same authority as ever, commands front rows with quiet dignity, and uses every interview to push for structural change. She proved that longevity in fashion isn't about staying young, it's about staying relevant, principled, and unafraid to speak truth to power. Her legacy is dual. As the icon who redefined beauty standards, and as the activist who forced an exclusionary industry to evolve. She didn't wait for doors to open, she kicked them down, then held them wide for others. And in doing so, she turned every strut into a statement, every cover into a conquest, and every challenge into a catalyst for change. Naomi Campbell didn't just walk the runway, she changed its direction forever.